What's up, everyone? Welcome back to Horizon Comics. My name, once again, is Joey M. Lang, and we are about 2 weeks or so removed from Horizon Comics Reveal Week and the voting process for Horizon Comics Reveal Week, in which you all voted for which of the 7 heroes revealed in Reveal Week that you would like to read about next. And after all was said and done, and all the votes were counted, and Reveal Week's voting period had come to a close, it was revealed that none other than Shadow Puppet would be leading our very next comic. And while the Shadow Puppet comic has yet to receive its official title, I will be keeping you guys up to date and posted as soon as that is ready to be made public. Because as I have probably mentioned before, I want to share as much of this process with you guys as possible. With that said, after a little bit of time and prep, I am finally ready to share with you guys a little behind the scenes look at some concept art for one of the main antagonists that Shadow Puppet will be going face to face with. Now, normally, when I start designing a character, I start with like I'm doing here with the pencils, but I do the pencils with actual pencils on actual paper. But just to give you guys a basic rundown of the process, I decided to do the sketching process digitally. So what I ended up doing there was I just made the outline different color of the basic shapes so I could go over a more solid look later on with what I want the character to actually look like. Before this point, where I started going over the inking to smooth out the process. What I normally do is I will sketch it and then I'll put the image on here and start going over it with inks immediately. So I do end up skipping a couple of steps here by doing the sketching process in person on a physical piece of paper. Now I'm adding a lot of things like, so this is Segment. Segment is going to be a member of our big bad villain organization, the Assassin Nation. Basically an organization of assassins who are all meta-powered. I decided to go with, because his power will be to separate his limbs at the joints and be able to psychically control them. I figured if he's an assassin, why not make each of those segments a dangerous weapon? So, with all that, you're going to see that I'm going to try out a lot of different placements and different kinds of blade shapes and such to go on most of the segments. And there will also be a couple of changes that I do end up making in post that weren't actually recorded. As you see, I'm trying out the different shapes of the hands, I'm putting blades on the hands, and now I'm coloring. So this is the app that I use. I use Procreate. I like to use the airbrush feature for the coloring. And I will sample a lot of colors for characters, and then I will make their own separate palette so I can just refer back to that as I continue. So I'm very meticulous with how carefully and closely the lines I get, and then I erase anything that's imperfect out of there. As you'll notice, I took away that loincloth kind of look off camera just because I decided that was a little much. I wanted to be subtle while still kind of popping at the same time, if that makes any sense. I went with a simple dark tones as he is an assassin. I want it to be simple enough to be idealistically practical for what you would imagine a quote-unquote assassin being, while making it pop in a comic book, which is why I ended up going with this very dark teal. It was just that splash of color, that third tone that it really needed. With my characters, I try as much as possible to make a tri-tone palette where it's one or two colors and one or two shades. That way it's as not to overcrowd the palette or overcrowd the project and piece with colors, but not to make it too dull and devoid of color as well. And in this point, I'm adding the shading because that's what really brings it to life, obviously. I do try out a lot of different ways, shapes and styles of that. Obviously, you gotta imagine the light source. I'm thinking like there's a light coming up from him. He's standing on top of a building or whatever. So I'm just playing around with the shading here, and I use an inking pen stencil from the Procreate app with low opacity, and then I erase all the excess to create the actual shaping of the shadows and their placement. From there, I try out what other places need it. I'll take some out, keep it in, add some more if I need. And it's just, honestly, I just kind of personally, I eyeball it. I kind of guess where the shadows would fall on the piece. I just try to kind of like visualize it in my head, and whatever I end up with that just seems closer to that imagined image is what I end up sticking with. Like you see on this right hand here, I did go over maybe 2 or 3 times with different types of shading as I can undo the pieces that I do, and I just erase or like add different levels of shading. Because the opacity is low, I can overlap a lot of the shadows. If they need to be darker or lighter, then I'll take away a layer, and I will layer them all just so it's a lot easier in process. If that's just something that you want to do, I highly, highly, highly recommend Procreate. It is very worth the $12 you will spend on the app. And no, I'm not sponsored by them, but that would be awesome. Just finalizing the finishing touches. I did take away the background, because when I take away the background, not only does it make it a transparent image, so I can plant it on anything, but when I take away that white background, or if I change the white background to black, it takes all those lighter tones that are outside the lines and harder to see with the white background, reveals them, and then I can take care of them accordingly. Some might have been missed during the recording, but there are corrections and adjustments I did make in post, which you will see in a moment. Lots of adjustment. That particular tricep, I think, gave me the most trouble out of any of the additional pieces besides the torso, to be completely honest. And there is the finished product. I added a sash with the Assassin Nation logo in the middle. Now, what kind of behind the scenes look would this be if you didn't leave knowing a little bit more about the character I just showed you? So let's take a quick look at a brief summary of Segment. Like all other members of the Assassin Nation, Segment's true identity and history are unknown. Segment uses his ability to detach his limbs in sections to carry out lethal assignments with his 3 other squad members, who each possess their own unique set of deadly powers and skills. Segment and his squad find themselves assigned to hunt down and eliminate Shadow Man in General City. Hopefully that gets you guys just a little bit more excited about Horizon Comics Shadow Puppet coming soon. Thanks so much for watching, everyone. It really means the world to me. Please like, comment, and subscribe if you did like it. If you didn't like it, please let me know why in the comments below. I'd really appreciate your feedback. Subscribe doesn't cost you anything. It's free. That's my favorite F word. Second favorite F word. First one's food. But not in that order. Anyway, that's free. So please subscribe. Hit the notification bell if you want to see more. If you guys are interested and want to see more videos just like this one, please let me know, because I have about 3 other characters, like I said in his summary, that need to be revealed as well. So that would be really exciting. I'd really love to share that with you guys earlier, because I'm just itching to get this project out there, and I'm clamoring to give you guys any little bit of information that I can when I can. So with all that said, check us out on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter at Horizon Comics with an X. You know how to spell it. You got here fine enough. And with all that said, see you guys next time, just over the horizon.